Aye, just getting prepared there, Andy. That's all I was doing.
Am I usually on this side, Gary?
I think you've been promoted.
I think I'm usually
back over, Andy. I've had a few inquiries this week.
A few inquiries, Gary, go on.
Just to see if I had get my ScotVec certificate through the post.
You're on to the next module now, Gary.
I know. I think I'm going for ScotVec 5, StreamYard chat show presenter.
Doing well. You're a pro, Gary. You're a pro.
I've got a module, a learning process tonight as well, Andy, with the controls and stuff. I've got a share screen thing I want to do later on.
Oh, we've not even tested that out yet, Gary. A share screen.
Oh, I know.
You've got to make sure you share the right tab, Gary. We don't want you sharing anything you shouldn't be sharing, Gary.
What sort of stuff are you watching?
I don't know. Just, you might have your own personal affairs on your computer screen. Don't want to be sharing any of that, Gary.
Well, that's true. I have been working today, Andy, in the bug cut here. So I don't want any of my work getting sneaked out there into the nation.
Can't have that at all. Folks, it's wonderful to see you all this evening. I hope you're well. It's a rather dreich day out there, but I hope you're in fine fettle. Yeah,
welcome to the show again. Show 38.
Episode 38, Gary. My goodness.
What's going on?
What is going on? Well, we've got a few regulars in, as always. Good to see some of you guys coming in. How are we doing, John? Hope you're well, sir.
Evening, John. Evening, Paul.
Oh, we're all pressing buttons together here now, Gary.
That's a B- there for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm just starting for the top and working my way down. So here we go.
You never told me that.
Good to see the other half is tuned in there, Gary.
Yeah, it's nice to see Claire there. Hi, Claire.
Look at that sad wee profile picture of me. I look like a wee old man there, Gary. I'm definitely punching.
Andy, I've got news for you.
Go on.
You are a wee old man.
Gary, I'm still in my 40s. I'm only in my 40s.
I know. I'm even older than you.
Councillor Devine, good to see you this evening.
Good evening, sir.
Chicago contingent, Gary, is in the house.
Yeah. Good evening, Chicago. Good evening, the soon-to-be safe US of A. We had a live coup on here last week. And for you Americans, that is not a cow. It's a coup.
You talked about
live on the show last week. Remember that, Andy?
Talking about that guy with the big horns, Gary.
Yeah. That was something else, watching that coming in live on the show last week.
Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. But hey, that's what happens when you incite all that stuff for 4 years, Gary.
Totally. Congratulations to Wallace on his 157 shows. That's something else, Wallace.
We've got a bit of catching up to do, Gary.
1980s rock and all sorts of stuff and videos on Twitch. Wallace, remind us what that is again. We'll put it across the screen for you.
Twitch? Yeah, absolutely. Let us know where we can tune into that, Wallace, and we'll certainly be doing that. So, how's your week been, Gary? What have you been up to?
Oh, I've been busy, Andy, walking through the house to the hut and the hut to the house, and tea and a sandwich. But busy. But it's a different kind of busy at the moment.
Well, I suppose it is, and it's a busy kind of time out there, or a strange kind of time at least, Gary, because there we go. Fantastic, Wallace, thank you so much for that. Take a wee note of that, folks. Twitch.tv.
Fifth Dimension Disco. Sounds like a proper DJ. None of these young pretenders.
But, I know, can't have that. But, Gary, have you been observing lockdown rules?
As best I can, Andy, yes. It's not much change for me because I've been observing them pretty well, keeping myself. Somebody recognised me in the supermarket, though, the other day. I had my bonnet on. I had bonnet on, jacket, mask. So, hey, Gary. How'd you know me? So I've only known you for about 45 years. So that was interesting. But generally, Observing things okay. Andy, what about yourself? You still commuting?
No, well, commuting from the bedroom to the office and the house, so it's not much to do. But yeah, we've basically been observing lockdown. Obviously, we're into yet another phase of it. It's not great, but listen, we're going to have to get through it, Gary. We're going to have to get through it.
And one of those things caught my eye, Andy.
Go on.
This thing caught my eye.
Stay at home.
Stay at home. Now, I've been observing the stay at home thing, and I've been looking at the social media comments. It's quite marked, actually, that social media has noticed that lockdown in the streets are busy, the pavements are busy.
Yep.
People are not staying in. So I don't know what's going to give, Andy. I think people are getting a bit fed up with this. And I can understand that, but the stay at home, don't be a tube needs to be the message.
Indeed. I mean, obviously, if you're an essential worker, you've got to go out and work. But clearly, there's a lot more going on to it. People are pushing it, but you can understand, Gary. It's where are we now? It's January. We've been in this predicament for 9 months.
Yeah.
And it's going to, even in terms of the numbers, hospital admissions and so on, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we all just need to do a wee bit and see what we can do to just get over the last few weeks or months, or it'll probably be months, but see where we go on. But on a brighter note, Gary, what else has been catching your eye?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember because I've not been out to get my eye caught.
Well, you've been on social media. A lot of us are living our lives on social media now, keeping up with Twitter, keeping up with Facebook. I can't imagine you a TikTok kind of guy, Gary.
No, not at all. No. But things keep up on you, Andy. And I remember years and years and years ago, coming off a plane, away on a project, away in business, down south, and all these Hoffwits getting off the plane and turning their Nokias on. As soon as they get off, they're right on the Nokia, and I'm going, I'll never be that guy. I'll never ever have a mobile phone. Flipping heck.
Change now, Gary, innit?
Addicted to the damn thing. On this here, look, that's kind of 3D. On here with you.
Although on the bright side, I suppose they've taken Twitter off of Donald Trump.
Aye, he'll sneak back on.
Aye.
You seen that'd be funny. That has caught my eye. The Donald Trump aliases that have been popping up on Twitter, and
exactly.
You've got a guy with a moustache.
Pencils on moustache.
I wish I could catch some of the tweets. There's been some really funny tweets.
The thing that really impresses me, I mean, we see it in here with some of the folks in their comments and stuff like that, but folk are so quick these days, the wit that they come out with. It's just so fast, and it's just brilliant to be Donald Trump. It's just brilliant to be part of that and just to see it all. It's just great fun. But there's been a lot of good things out there. A lot of things have caught my eye, Gary. This week, and I've lined up a few treats for your eyeballs, but I can hear footsteps outside, Gary, so it can only mean one thing.
Is it Santa?
No. It's a cup of tea. Thanks, Hold on, to get my cup of tea here, Gary.
It's the merch. I need to bring mine in, Andy. Mine's just because I've overdosed on liquid today. I've had my quota. I've had my quota, so I need to hold fire.
You're at a certain age, Gary. You don't want to be taking in too much liquids too close to bedtime.
Don't worry, Andy. It's coming at you.
Listen, I was saying just before my cup of tea arrived there's been a lot of things that have caught my eye this week, and it's all visual. I love visual stuff, and there's been a lot of brilliant visual stuff to feast your eyes on this week. And one of the first images that caught my eye was this one from the folks at Teardrop Gin, and the owners of the company's son shot this picture out of his bedroom window.
Seriously,
and look at that imagery. It's just fantastic. And that was a rather creepy day or creepy evening in Paisley when the sort of the fog and the mist sort of rolled in quite low, because one of the friends of the show, Gary Chittick, saw it as an opportunity, and I think Gary hangs out up the breeze on quite a regular basis. I'm sure he's acting perfectly innocently with his camera up there, of course, but Gary then shot these images. Look at this one.
Yeah, I mean, that, Andy, that almost looks no real.
It's an amazing image, and you can see, I mean, you know that's Paisley. You can see some of the landmarks, and then he waited till it got dark.
Yeah.
And then Gary Chittick, so courtesy to Gary Chittick and Teardrop Jim for some of these images that were shown, but this is the next one here. Look at that.
That's amazing. Isn't that amazing?
That's utterly fantastic.
I think Gary's got a den up there. He's got a wee hide. He started off looking for badgers, and he thought, hey, I'll just take some pictures.
Gary, if you're watching, and the folks at Teardrop Gin, if you're watching, listen, keep up the good work with your photographs. I mean, Gary's a prolific photographer. He does amazing stuff. But it's
amazing. One of them made it onto the bit at the weather with Sean Batty.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah.
Sean, if you're watching, we'd like to invite you on the show. So if anyone knows Sean Batty, knows where he stays, tap his door and ask him.
I think we've got a friend of Sean Batty in the black and white room.
Oh, have we? Oh, well, there we go. Right, we need to get Sean Batty on the show. So absolutely fantastic photographs. And
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant images, Andy. Is there any other images of sorts that have caught you this week?
Now that you mention it, Gary, another friend of our show, in fact, she was on the very first, and we're going to actually talk about our two very first guests, Caroline Gormley and the Provost, because you're going to talk about the Provost in a moment, Gary. But Caroline Gormley, yeah, you don't remember that? The Provost Awards, Gary.
Does it catch my eye?
I hope so.
Okay. I just think the module, the Scott Vick module for not revealing your sources is rubbed out of your certificate, Andy.
Well, listen, back to our first two guests. One of them was Caroline Gormley. Now, if you're ever on Caroline's Twitter feed, it is a feast of art. It's absolutely brilliant, and we know that she does the Made in Paisley stuff. But this was a portrait painted of Caroline by her partner, Sandy. Look at that.
That's great, isn't it? It's really good.
That's just absolutely, that caught my eye. That was absolutely stunning, because I've known Caroline for many years, and it just captures her perfectly. It's got that right wee kind of expression and twinkle in the eye and everything. Absolutely fantastic image. And then I also spotted something that really excited me on Caroline's feed.
What's that, Andy?
The bog roll is back, Gary.
The bog roll's back. Really excited to see the bog roll back, Andy.
It's fantastic. So for those that don't perhaps know, Caroline decided to, because I guess ultimately there was people out panic buying toilet paper, Caroline decided to turn her toilet paper into a canvas and captured special moments all the way through lockdown, the first lockdown. It got brilliant coverage. It was covered by Andrex, covered by the news, made the papers. But Caroline's now got another roll of toilet paper. And I had always hoped, Gary, personally, that Paisley community chat show hosts would have made it onto the first toilet roll, but we didn't, Gary. And when I saw this one, I got a wee bit excited, thinking we might make it onto the second one. But looking at the calibre of individual that you need to be, you either need to be First Minister or you need to be storming the Capitol, Gary, to make it onto this bog roll of fame.
Okay, Andy, let's get our heads together and see what acts we need to perform to get on that bog roll, and have our maybe we'll go on the last wipe of the bog roll. Is that what it's called? A collection of bog roll, wipe of bog rolls.
A collective of bog roll, a wipe. I don't know, or a panic buy.
Well, it is a role, a bog roll. There is already is a name for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So great comments coming in from everyone. So good to see that coming in.
We could make it the first double-sider, Andy.
Double-sided toilet paper, Gary.
I think they used to have that in the shipyards. Use both sides.
Good stuff, fantastic. And listen, we've now not only do we have our viewers in from Chicago and New York and Houston, but I'm pleased to say that we've got Toronto joining us this evening as well.
Is this a member of the family, Andy?
It's a member of the family, yes. It's my big cousin joining us in, so good to see the friends and family are joining in. But so anyway, cracking on, Gary. What else caught your eye before we move on?
I think last week we mentioned there was a fund open for creatives. So it's always good to point people in the direction of things that they can interact with and that might help them. So this week, the thing that's caught my eye, there you go, is this one.
Go on.
Andy, I got it here. Hold on. What happened there? I get so excited.
I get so excited as well. I was too busy clicking buttons.
What happened? Click that again. Keep it. We've nearly done it for a year.
It's been 38 weeks, Caroline.
Here. Started with a full head of hair. But now we've got merch. Andy, you keep advertising the merch.
Aye, absolutely. I'll keep doing that, Gary. Thanks, Caroline.
What caught my eye was the Provost Community Awards. So I think what we'll do, Andy, we don't want to overrun. But let's schedule that show off the cuff here tonight. Provost Community Awards are out there. They're for people to nominate who you think is worthy in the community, and there's so many worthy individuals and groups and people that have went above and beyond. I'm going to flash up very quickly, Andy.
Go on.
The categories. So we can't see that, but what I'm proposing to do, Andy, if you're agreeable.
Go on, Gary.
I can hear you nodding. Is that after Catherine's been on and before Lauren comes on,
right?
I will enter into ScotVic 5 community chat show presentation module screen share, and I'll share my screen and we'll go through all the different categories.
Sounds like a plan, Gary. Fantastic. I've got every faith in you. You'll be able to pull off the screen share.
Okay. Screen share module. I hope Mr. ScotVic's watching and I get past that module.
So, folks, that's all coming up later on in the show. That makes me sound a wee bit professional. Coming up later on in the show, Gary, doesn't it? That's the kind of thing that you hear DJs.
I was going to say, here's one I prepared earlier, but that's for another show.
That's a different show altogether. And I guess, we're always keen that the community engage in what we're doing. And we've got the pleasure of bringing this chat show to you every single week. But I guess we've got a wee bit of an ask, Gary, haven't we? In terms of numbers.
That we nearly forgot about.
Go on.
Aye, we nearly forgot about this bit. So, what has also caught my eye, Andy, is our numbers on social media. Our numbers on social media on Facebook. I was going to have a wee flash of bog rollism there, but I'm not going to say it. We're really close. We're really close to the 3,000. You think you got in your head what I maybe would have said?
I can imagine what you were trying to say, Gary.
We're really, really close to 3,000 likes on our Facebook page. So please, if you haven't liked our Facebook page, just give it a wee click. But I don't know what it does, or you got a gold star or whatever, Andy, or a big tick. But it'd be great to get to 3,000. That's a milestone for us.
That's all you need to do. And not only click it yourself, share the page out and say, hey, if you're in Paisley, follow this page. Lots of great stuff going on in the community, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do at Paisley Community Trust. Shine a spotlight on the fantastic community folks that we've got, and also deliver some of our own projects, which puts community at the heart of regeneration in the town.
You okay there?
I was having a moment there, Gary.
Jeez, I thought the screen froze. There's the merch. Aye, so there's categories there that so many different community groups. So we'll talk about that during the break. And if you like what we're doing, and if you want to tell people about us, or even if you want to contact Sean Batty and get him on the show, get this all done.
Make it happen. Right, Gary, moving on.
Moving on.
Who we got lined up tonight, Gary?
We've got a request.
Go on. See it. Oh, aye. See it.
It's like Johnny Beattie. Now you see it. Just say it. No, I couldn't say it. Maybe somebody will comment what I was nearly saying. That's allowed. And if somebody says down the comments, we'll put it up.
I put bets on. I reckon Mr. Stewart might know what you were insinuating there, Gary.
Yes. Right, and anyway, when our instructions for our guests to join us go out, Andy, I always put on it that there's potential for us to overrun. And I've changed my instructions recently.
We will overrun.
We will overrun.
I know.
We definitely will overrun. It's part of our charm. But I think we're doing no bad for time today. So we're at 2022 this evening. That's a 7-minute overrun, which isn't too bad.
I thought you were talking about the year there, Gary. I don't know what planet you're on in Gallagher, but it's 2021 up here in Lower Glenburn.
Upper Gallagher, Andy.
2022 as in 822. Got you.
Right,
Got you.
For a moment. We bring on our first guest at 2023.
Right. Sounds like a plan to me.
Let's synchronise watches. Catherine, get ready. 2023, the bottom of your screen. The whole world is looking at the bottom of the screen for 2023. And our first guest. Come on.
Well, it's 20. Catherine, how are you?
Hello.
Good evening, Catherine, and welcome to the chat show and our new feature.
What's
well,
new feature, Gary?
The 2023 moment.
Oh.
You're first to benefit from that, Catherine. And it's just to get serious. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome to Paisley.
Nice to be here.
Good.
Sorry for keeping you waiting, Catherine. But there's there's an awful lot to talk about. But what we also like to do, because we've always said that the guests make the show, we just like to build up the anticipation within the folks that are watching, so that when we get you on, everybody's ready for it. So you've already got your fan club in tonight. There's woohoos. But welcome onto the programme and the show, Catherine.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for asking me.
It's a pleasure. Have you made the bog rolls yet, Catherine? Have you been on them?
No, I have not. Normally what I would be, though, is I would normally be in Caroline's art class on a Wednesday night. So here I am, because that's not on. Well,
big shout out for you as a nomination for the bog roll. So that's three that should be on the bog roll tonight, Andy.
We're going to be keeping Caroline busy for sure. But Catherine, thanks for coming on. And some folks might not know you, and we always ask anyone that comes on to the show, tell us a wee bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what's your Paisley focus, Catherine?
Right, so who am I? Right, well, I've been doing the Behind Closed Doors Facebook group, and I've been collecting photographs of all the kind of wally close tiles and things to do on anything to do with tenements, and I'm out there taking photos of them. Besides from that, though, I do have a proper job and everything as well. But I've been working at home as well. So like you were saying, it's like your entire life spent in your living room like that. Moving about the living room to see a different point of view every day. But so getting out every day to do the closes and taking pictures and all the rest of it, that's been kind of keeping me sane over the whole lockdown thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been a project, because it actually caught my eye a number of weeks ago, where these brilliant pictures, grew up in Marnock Terrace. We had a flat in Brodie Park, and it had quite nice tiles. So you're always, these wee things catch your eye. But then there was this person, turned out to be you, behind closed doors, sneaking into folks' closes and taking all these wonderful pictures of these tiles and mosaic tiles and architectural details. What was it that inspired you in that project, Catherine?
Well, see, to be honest, I had been doing, I do a lot of sewing and stuff, and I know you can see my sewing machine in the background. I don't know what way to point there. Although it's been lying there gathering dust for ages, but I know it's like that. It's there somewhere. So really what I'd started doing was I was collecting the images to use for textile design, to design fabrics. But the more I was doing it, the more I was like, oh God, that's really interesting. Oh, that's really good. And then I ended up just getting totally sucked into the whole architecture thing and all that sort of stuff. And I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm just kind of learning about architecture as I'm going along. But it's fascinating, all the stuff. I love the Victorian stuff anyway because it's so decorative. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even the very functional stuff, super decorative. And I really appreciate that about the kind of Victorian sort of era stuff.
Yeah.
So really that's what got me started, and then obviously I've gone back round and I've taken that. So at the moment I'm kind of going back round all the different buildings and trying to get the buildings and all the bits on the buildings as well as the tiles that I originally took. So
yeah.
Andy, I should maybe look at some images that have caught our eye that you've sent us through, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just closes. When there's the first one.
The stained glass,
which is windows, and I think that there was a while ago, Andy, we showed a window that was in the observatory, and the observatory window, if you've seen it, Catherine, is a lot more grand, but it's similar. It's very similar in style.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, like what you get. I mean, that's obvious. They're kind of. It's funny because you're kind of describing things as plain and then decorative, but they're all decorative. It's just some are more decorative than others. Some people have sent me pictures of some of the close windows, and it's like painted glass, so it's absolutely stunning looking. So and that's just in a close, So
our close window in Thrushcraig's, Catherine, was really clear. It was like kind of really. They were all broken. That was how clear they were.
And Gary, we've already established that none of the doors existed in the houses in Thrushcraig's when you grew up, Gary.
A particular time of year there was a for drafty.
But it all started for you, Catherine, on the ceramic tiles, and capturing these just beautiful images. So we've got a couple of them. So we'll just maybe kind of flip through them if you maybe want to tell us a little bit about them, where you saw them, which closes they're from, and so on.
Right, well, that one there that you're looking at just now, that's probably most people have seen that because it's down on Causey Side Street on the main road. So it's just besides the butchers that's down there. It's just along from the butchers. So most people will have walked by that as they're going to the bus stop. So, but it's absolutely stunning. And inside the close is absolutely gorgeous as well.
Yeah. Is that in plain sight, that one, Catherine?
Yes, it is. Yeah. This isn't, though. This one's behind the closed door. This is on Glasgow Road, just beside Harvey's. It's in the building that Harvey's is on. So, and I absolutely love this one. It's a gorgeous close.
Yeah, lovely colours and shapes and patterns in there, and presumably those would have all been, hand painted and baked at some point.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Some of them aren't. No, some of them are kind of done in a more of an industrial sort of scale, but they're still. So they would make the blanks for a lot of these. So like this one here's, that's from Oak Shaw, and that's actually from a Minton Hollands pottery down in Stoke-on-Trent. So they had, they would make blanks and they would send them out, and then a lot of places would put the colours and everything on themselves rather than the company that's making the tiles sending them. So So you would get, that's why you get loads of different colours of the tiles as well. But that one I found in one of the Minton's catalogues,
right?
Which is quite good because it's all online, all this stuff as well, so you can just browse through it.
So your interest in the tiles and the architecture is you've delved. It sounds like you've delved a bit deeper and you've got to know about the background about who makes them and all that stuff.
I'm still, Bill, I've been kind of doing research on various bits and pieces, but it's kind of, it was okay over the kind of festive period. That was fine because, I wasn't at work. But now that we're back in, because I work for a college, so now that we're back at work, I'm like that, where do I find the time? So, but yeah, I need to set some time aside just to get a wee bit more kind of background info on all the different tiles and where they come from.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've been sneaking about inside people's closes, and you do get some, wonderful views, which I guess most folk will just be relatively, if they stay in that building, they'll get in, they'll walk up the stairs, they'll go into their flat, and that'll be that. But you've got that glazed area just bringing in all that natural light into the well, and then I thought this was fantastic as well. Another great shot.
Such a gorgeous close.
Yeah, there's one I seen the other day, Catherine. It was actually one that was painted over that you'd taken.
Oh, I hate them when they're painted over. That's terrible.
Have you got a plan or a campaign to unpaint the tiles?
Them? No, I don't. A lot of them have been painted. See, there's somebody had sent a couple from down Blytheswood Drive and Andrew Street, and a few of them are they're all owned by the Housing Association, so they painted over all the closes. I mean, they've done them in a decent way, and some of them aren't. I took photographs yesterday or the day before of some of the ones. There's a kind of block on Causey Side Street that are painted over everything. It's just tragic looking. They would have been plain tiles, but even so, they've painted over them really. Oh, it's terrible looking. It's just makes me want to greet when I see it. It's
part of our heritage, Catherine. It definitely is, even though it's behind a closed door, and it's architectural gems.
Well, originally they would have been. I kind of see them as being public art. The way you would get kind of public art out in the streets now. But those would have been, people would have been able to walk by closes and, get a wee peek at something that was just really lovely to look at as they're going about their day. But we can't really do that anymore. So
yeah, one thing that's catching my eye in your pictures, and I'll show it just now, Andy, is mosaic. I mean that looks like it's pretty well preserved. I can't figure out where that is, but where is that one?
It's actually on Broomlin Street. It's a hairdresser's at Broomlin Street.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, I'd actually been out, with the phone and the camera and all that, and the women were in. It was during the kind of lockdown, the last one, not the very first one, but the kind of tier 4 one, or tier 3, whatever it was. And the women couldn't. The hairdressing shop wasn't open, but they were in just making sure everything was okay in that. And they very kindly, because I kind of asked them if I could take the picture, so they kindly kind of moved everything out the road and swept it all up and everything so I could take the photograph. So that was really cool. But they were saying that actually goes all the way inside and round under the windows. They've got it covered up, but they said it was all still there, and the original cornice and everything was all still there as well. So
there's one with that just down Causey Side, isn't there?
There's a few places that have got the mosaics. And there's actually quite a lot of places you can walk by them without even noticing them. So there's quite a few places that have got them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It needs someone like yourself to pick out all these wee architectural details that we all just walk by. I mean, you go up and down the high street, and you get some fantastic, bits of architecture that just captures your eye. We had a couple of shows back. We had Frank McPherson on, and he'd done all the photographs of all the listed buildings that were in Paisley. Cameron Swanson was also on in terms of talking about the buildings that have kind of fallen into disrepair. But when you do look up, you see some brilliant little details, and I guess ultimately we don't make buildings like we used to do. Certainly these tenement flats But I really like these ones. Now these would have, I'm guessing, been, you know, they're all part of the drainage system and part of the guttering system, and but that poor wee show on the right hand side looks a bit kind of wabbit, doesn't he? Looks a bit sort of scunnered. He's been up there for goodness knows how long.
I think he's been there for about 100 odd years at any rate. In fact, they both have, because they're both on Causey Side Street. So one of them is, in fact, you'll know they're corner buildings. So one of them, the one with the wee kind of gargoyle thing, that's actually got gargoyles at every wee window all the way around.
Wow.
And then the other one is actually on the corner of Causey Side Street and Gordon Street.
Right, okay.
So, do you know, see the wee line head things? I'd never even noticed them before. So I only took them the other day because I was like, oh, they've got them as well. And then that thing beside it is, I can't remember what you call them. Somebody had told me about them before, but that's actually where the cables for the old tram cars used to go. So they used to attach onto these things and string across the road. So I really like that as well. Again, Victorians, you know, it's so decorative, but it's totally functional.
Yeah, we've got a great eye for detail, Catherine. And one thing I noticed as well, and as part of what you've been taking pictures of, is this one.
Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Which looks like a fireplace.
I know. Well, especially with the kind of what looks like cigarette ends lying there. Yes, with the boot scraper. That's brilliant. So ingenious.
It's good.
And you know, I actually only took that the other day, and I almost walked right by it. Well, I did walk right by it, and I just kind of looked down. And I thought, oh my God, it's one of those. So, you know, hence it. Picture taking.
You can just imagine how many boots, you know, had the mud scraped off them on that over the years. It's fantastic because, as you say, it looks like a kind of fireplace, but obviously it's only the size of a kind of shoe. Clearly now you can tell the wee ones, that's where the fairies stay.
Yeah, that's what you could tell them.
Fantastic. I know they're brilliant photographs. And what's the plan, Catherine? Are you just going to, you know, keep snapping away to your heart's content and just putting these out on social media? Are you going to? You mentioned about taking the patterns and putting them into some of your fabrics that you were looking at.
Yeah, so some of the patterns I'm going to use for because I do a lot of sewing and knitting and stuff like that. So I was kind of, my idea originally was to use some of the really kind of I'm just looking at somebody's comment there about that. I've actually got ones from McCarroll Street as well that she's talking about there. Some of the patterns I'll use for designing the actual fabric prints, and then the other stuff I'm going to try and make up knitting patterns. I really like knitting Icelandic style jumpers, so I'm going to try and do something along those lines, but with the patterns from the clothes kind of thing. See how that goes. And then whatever else I feel like doing, t-shirts and things like that, maybe. I don't really know. I'm kind of like, where am I going to take it?
Fantastic.
But and then folk have asked me about the possibility of doing a book or something. It'd be nice to do stuff like that you could actually give away rather than selling. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I might need to look at funding for a book or something. I'll see.
Well, you should definitely speak to Frank, because I think he did the self-publishing, and you know, the more you get, the cheaper it becomes. You know, it's quite expensive. Right, it's like a one-off print, but but I think, you know, in terms of, you know, Paisley, it's got such a rich heritage of arts and crafts. And to be able to look back that 100 or so years and then bring some of those designs back out, I think would be brilliant. It's what makes Paisley. And some of those gargoyles that folk have been talking about, and we know the gargoyles around the Abbey and so on. These wee architectural features, you know, to have someone like you shine a light on them, highlight them and share them, because, you know, on Facebook, any of your posts, it always gets really well you know, commented and liked and all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic, Catherine. It's brilliant.
And it's these small things, Catherine, that will actually save the heritage of the town and some of those buildings. Not get people like you doing that.
Well, I think that's the thing about. You had mentioned a couple other photos. Honestly, see the amount of photographs that people take of Paisley, and you know, you don't really see that anywhere else. I don't think, like on other websites, you're not really see, or Facebook pages or whatever. You're not seeing as many locals, I don't think, really out and about and really loving what they see in the town and stuff, and it's great.
Have you been up and around Coates, Catherine, and seen the mosaics up there?
Yes, I have. Do you know, I've taken photographs in there, and Brian from the Paisley page he tagged me in a post, and it was the mosaics that he'd put on. And you know, I'd been up there for one of the doors open days, a couple of years ago now, and I'd take loads of photographs, but I never took any of the mosaics on the floor. so there we go. I took loads of the toilet, the really fancy Dalton toilet that was there, but none of the mosaics. So
yeah, and I was going to say earlier as well, there is a book in what you do, even if it's the self-publish one for yourself. There's always click through. I did a family thing a while ago, and there's websites that you can go on and just drag and drop your pictures, get them, get a hardback, and it's a book, and it's not that expensive.
No, I'll have a look at that.
You should do. Andy, you know of websites like that off the top of your head?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few of them, things like Photobox and stuff like that.
I've seen that.
Do their own. But I'm just going to actually do something right now. Hopefully this works okay. I've got the shared screen going on here. Is this the right page that I'm on behind closed doors? The one thing that I noticed is that your URL, it's not actually showing this up the top, but it's facebook.com /group/ and then it's a big long number. You're going to have to go into the system admin and change that so it's behind closed doors or something.
Yeah.
But
I never even noticed that before.
So that's an easy one. But folk can just type in behind close doors, and it's really important that it's close doors and not closed doors, because that's a whole other set of photography.
Indeed.
That's a different type of thing that you want to do. But behind closed doors, and you can see some of those boot scrapers and various other things that you've been busy doing. Absolutely smashing, Catherine. Thank you so much for bringing all this wonderful stuff to our attention.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thanks, Catherine, for coming on the show. And if the least we can do is encourage you and thank you and point people to your Facebook page and ask you to keep doing it, because it's essential for our town that people like you are protecting our heritage. So thanks for that. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we look forward to seeing who's close you've snuck into. So, folks, if you hear a noise, if you stay in a tenement flat and you hear a wee noise, and you hear somebody oohing and ahhing, they're just looking at your tiles and taking pictures of them. It's probably just Catherine. Nothing to worry about. All right.
I was going to say, Catherine, seeing those closes that have got the door entry. Do you press all the buzzers till somebody says, "Aye, all right"?
No, I actually take them through the windows. So a lot of the windows, because I've started taking them through the windows just as a mental note so that I know what to go back to. Lots of the time, folk are kind of milling about, and I just ask them when they're coming in and out their closes if I can get in to take pictures, and they're like that. Aye, on you go. So in fact,
I reckon you could pretend to be the postman, or right now, because everybody's at home. You could just say that you're the delivery driver, and folk will buzz you in. But Catherine, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll see you soon. Okay?
Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Our next guest is nearly ready, Andy, but as we spoke about at the top end of the show, you see what I did there?
The top end of the show, very professional, Gary.
Yeah, I did one. At the top end of the show, we were talking about my training and the module that I've got going on screen share.
Go on then, Gary. This is your big moment.
How'd you do it, though, Andy? You've not given me any training.
It's called the Use Your Initiative training, right? So down at the bottom, Gary, there's a button that says Share Screen.
Right. Oh, aye. Right. Okay.
So you click Share Screen, and then see, folks, this is on the job training here for Gary. This is on the job. It comes up, and then you can either share your entire screen, an application window, or a Chrome tab. Pick the relevant one, Gary.
I think I've clicked the right one, Andy, and I think I'm doing fantastically well, because look what I'm doing with my screen.
Oh, check you out, Gary. That is a pass, Gary. You passed the screen sharing module.
Well, okay, so now I'm into the next phase of that module, which is presentation from shared screen.
Correct. And right
Yeah.
now we're in presenter mode, so that's us over on the side here, Gary.
Yeah,
Or
we're still here. We're still, so that's Scotwick 5 I'm on. I think we'll be moving to an ONC after that, and HNC, and on to the degree in movie making. Anyway, so what I've wanted to share, Andy, was the website related to the Provost Awards. If I could just run through them very quickly, and then maybe we'll put a banner up of how people can nominate. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 awards there, ranging from Arts and Culture, sponsored by Renfrewshire Council, Carers Award, sponsored by former Provost Nancy Allison, Community Group, sponsored by City Great Construction, Community Volunteer, Andy, sponsored by Glasgow Airport, Employee of the Year, sponsored by Unison Renfrewshire, Ingenuity in Business, new for 2021, and a Sporting Achievement Award. So that's the 7 award categories, Andy. Arts and Culture, Community Group, don't want to be picking out too many there about that are important, but they too really important. Community Volunteer, all sorts of people worthy to be nominated for those awards, Andy.
Absolutely, Gary. And whilst you're sharing your screen, you've actually gone into a bit of a max headroom mode, Gary. I think you might need to...
Well, you know what I'm doing? I'm just finishing off that module with the stop share.
Well, you did well. You're back, but you're a wee bit jittery. But, you know, just looking at some of those awards, folk, you know, you can get all the details on the Renfrewshire Council website. Just Google Renfrewshire Council Provost Awards and you'll be taken to a website that doesn't look too dissimilar from this one. And that's got all the awards up there. And right now at the bottom of the screen, Provost Awards at renfrewshire.gov.uk. Now, we can think of a good number of folk that have been on the show as guests that could easily be nominated for those categories. So, folks, if you see some brilliant community ambassadors that are falling into any of those categories, get them nominated. Drop the Provost a wee email, provostawards@renfrewshire.gov.uk, and do your wee bit to continue to support the organisations and the individuals who support you.
Spot on, Andy. And look at that, we synchronised unclick there. Did you notice that?
Genius, Gary, genius.
That was good. So, without further ado, we normally go from guest to guest, but we're shaking it up a bit tonight, Andy, and the show is taking on a whole new dynamic because of that.
Absolutely. It is taking on a whole new dynamic, but we are going to be bringing on our next guest, who is actually becoming a bit of a chat show regular, Gary.
Yeah, many times as this now.
Oh, I think it's at least 3. Now, are we waiting for a particular time, a moment in time, Gary? Is this the 2050 slot?
It's the 2050 slot, right? Yeah, 2050. Watch out and build it up. The world is waiting for the 2050 slot.
They're all looking at the clocks.
Yeah, I can sometimes kind of know when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, it's the best slot as well. It's the best slot on our show, is the 2050 slot.
We could do with a drum roll, Gary, because it could be either 59 seconds or it could be 1 second. Okay, go. I better not miss this. Who's pressing the button?
You! I'm doing the drumming.
This is an awful long minute, Gary. Our poor guest is waiting for a moment to come on the show, and I'm just going to preempt. Oh, there we go.
There we go. 2050.
That was nerve-wracking.
Oh,
what knows much for us? We thought the world had froze.
I know.
Lauren,
how are you?
Welcome back to that show. Great. You've been okay waiting there all that time? Hopefully you were tuning in.
No, I was doing quite a bit of tech, Sean Batty, so fingers crossed we get a reply from him, and invited some people to your page. So you're only 40 likes away from 3,000 now. So
Oh my!
Yes, let's do this tonight.
I know, you never know what could happen.
We knew that there was a good reason to get you back on the show again, Lauren. Bumping up our likes and getting Sean Batty on the programme.
Sean will be. I've been tweeting him, tagging him and stuff. The Provost even dropped in a tweet the other night saying, "You quite enjoy the chat show, Sean, if you come on." So now that we've got direct contact, there's no doubt he'll be on.
Well, he's a big supporter of the Toy Bank, and he raised over £1,000 for us. So he was making wreaths where he stays, and he donated all the profits to the Toy Bank, and I just gave him a big shopping list, and he went and bought everything for us, which was so kind. And he texted me to say that he's just raised another £300. Wow. So such a good guy. So fingers crossed for you that he comes on the show.
Fantastic.
Well, if he came on the show, Lauren, he could give you another plug. That would be perfectly acceptable.
Absolutely. And by the sounds of things, I mean, you do need ambassadors to kind of promote and champion the stuff that you've been doing at Renfrewshire Toy Bank. So it's great to know that you've had Sean doing his bit for you and raising so much for you, which is excellent.
Yep. Oh, there's been so many people that have helped out. We couldn't have done it without just Renfrewshire as a whole, because so many individuals and businesses, and there's been businesses and individuals that haven't wanted to be named as well. So yeah, just thanks to everyone, because it wouldn't be possible without them all coming together.
Yeah. So talking about the Toy Bank, Lauren, and the Christmas Toy Bank, tell us about the lead up to Christmas and some of the stats and some of the numbers of what you actually achieved.
So the lead up to Christmas was insane. I can't really think of another word for it. It was totally different to any other year because of COVID. So we had to do risk assessments, we had to work in bubbles, we had to buy PPE. Everything was just totally different from that point of view. And we also took out extra storage, and that was to quarantine units. So COVID, made everything a bit different. But what was really amazing is the social workers, the charities, the businesses, everyone who's involved with the Toy Bank, they all just adapted and overcame it, and we just thought of different ways to make things work. So that was brilliant, and it didn't set us back in any way. And way at the start of the year, I had applied for funding to expand the Toy Bank, and then I thought the council budget's changed, that's not going to happen, and it did. So we were able to expand. So at Christmas, we gave out 2,189 gift packages, and we spent just over £5,000 on gift cards. And something that makes me really conscious of is it's brilliant that we help these families out at Christmas, and it's a big financial burden taken away, and the parents and carers know that they've got really lovely gifts to give their families. But if that's needed at Christmas, that's obviously then needed throughout the year. So that's why we've expanded. So what we'll do now is open up to birthdays. We'll do an appeal for Easter eggs, for Halloween costumes, and then at Christmas. But it means that we're able to run all year round and keep our storage on, which is really good. So we're thinking that for birthdays already, it will probably be a really similar number to what we provide at Christmas.
Yep.
Because the thing that I noticed, Lauren, is that you had that big announcement just very recently, and you've changed your name.
Yeah, so we're no longer the Renfrewshire Christmas Toy Bank. We are now just the Renfrewshire Toy Bank. On Facebook, however, we are still the Renfrewshire Christmas Toy Bank. I've applied to Facebook to change that, but it can take up to 14 working days. So I've got fingers crossed that changes soon, because it's annoying me now. But the other big announcement we've got is that we are running a competition for our logo. So our logo was previously designed by a local graphic designer, and this time I thought we would put it out to the children. Obviously, we're in lockdown, there's not a lot to do, and I know that kids have homeschooling to do right now, as I've also developed into a teacher during the week. But I just thought it's another fun thing for the kids to do, and I thought it'd be really nice, if a kid could win the competition and know that they've designed our logo and have it on all our media and our printed press and everything. Yep. I just thought it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you've worked so hard, and there's a lot of brilliant comments coming in. People that I know have been active and supporting, and we did as much as we could up until Christmas to really put a spotlight on what you were doing.
So appreciated.
It's great to see that support continue. But you're right. You know, the Christmas is only one event in a child's life. But if you're, you know, a child or a family in need of that little bit of extra support, you know, whether it be for birthdays or Easter or any other celebrations throughout the year, just knowing that you operate within our community is really vital and really important, Lauren.
Well, thanks. We couldn't do it without the community, because honestly, in the groups, the thing that I feel that I really always want to highlight to people is it's not just us, it's not just the Toy Bank, because Star Project you had on last week, what they do just blows my mind. They're amazing, and they distribute these gifts as well. So, you know, social workers, health visitors, we get a lot of referrals from health visitors, Homelink, which are based in schools, and all these workers do so much for our community that people just probably don't even realise.
Fantastic.
Lauren, it sounds like you're getting ready for a ramp up in activity, and I know your logistics are in place, but is there a challenge there that you foresee, or is it already started with the change?
So a bit of a challenge at the moment is still COVID. So what we're doing for birthdays is a bit different from our Christmas process, and that's due to restrictions and how we want to work it. So the way that we usually work for Christmas is we get in individual referrals from groups. So Star Project have X amount of referrals, social work have X amount of referrals, and that's the way it usually works. But what we're doing just now with the birthdays is filling up boxes with toys and gifts that we know are suitable ages for that organisation, and they then fill out a sheet to let us know, you know, how many things have taken, information on children and that sort of stuff. Obviously that's all data protected, and then that lets us know the results of how many families we're actually able to help within the community. But what that also means by putting it in the boxes, it means it's already quarantined at the organisation's end. But again, it's just working with every organisation to tailor it to them. So it's just another obstacle we're overcoming. But so far, everyone's been really supportive. And, you know, like I said, these organisations want the best for the families that they support. So they're all really supportive as well.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, when you were on just pre-Christmas, there was a shout out for some specific items, and I was wondering, did you have a spike in links after our show? Did the links items rocket?
I can't even talk. The donations we had in the last 10 days running up to Christmas was phenomenal. And that was past our cut-off date. So as much as I knew we were going to expand, I just wanted to get Christmas out the way first and then announce that. And I didn't really want to take any spotlight off of the Christmas appeal, because obviously it's so important. And with Christmas, there is a definite deadline. So what I did was let some of those people know, look, you guys are donating, but this is going to be kept for birthdays. So that's why at the moment we're not actually running an appeal as such for donations. I don't feel it's really the right time with being in lockdown. We've done, you know, asked at Christmas, and I just feel just now is not really the right time. But because everyone was so generous in that last week, and business support and people, you know, fundraising, a guy, Jamie Maguire, local boy, he raised over £1,000 for us, which was phenomenal. So I had to say to Jamie, do you mind if this money is used for birthdays throughout the year? So that's given us a bit of a head start, and I just want to, you know, get some birthday boxes out and get that all sorted. And if we need to do an appeal, we'll do an appeal. But at the moment, because of the last 10 days and everyone's generosity, we're in an okay position at the moment. But yeah, maybe that was to do with the show, because it was it was a lot of stuff, but it meant that we could top up organisations and fulfil referrals that we didn't think we were going to be able to. So it was amazing.
I think what it does show is that the people of Paisley, the people of Renfrewshire, are naturally very community orientated and very generous. You know, and for those that have maybe got a wee bit extra, to be able to give to those that have got a little bit less is something that's well within our, you know, we get it. We support our communities, we support the organisations that support our communities. And, you know, when you look at the type of place that Paisley and Renfrewshire is, that gives you a huge amount of pride in your town. That gives you a huge amount of pride and the people who are working hard, like yourself, Lauren, like Star, like all the fantastic folk we've had on the show, and it just lifts your spirits. It's really really fantastic to see.
No, it does. I mean, the year before, there was one day I was like, oh, we're not going to make it, and oh, what's going to happen? And then I did an appeal, and it was for money for gift cards, and then that was it. Like, literally 2 days later, the gift cards were bought. They were with the organisations, and you just, it's really overwhelming, because sometimes you think, oh, am I doing the right thing? Is this going to work? And then, I mean, the first year I remember thinking, is this just a silly idea, or is no one going to get behind this? And I couldn't believe that it actually worked. So to think, like, from where we've came, years on, it's just, it still shocks me how people can be so generous, because people are so kind, and people do still surprise me, because, it's overwhelming.
Lauren, it wouldn't happen if there wasn't a focal point, and you've put your head above the parapet and became that focal point. So full credit for yourself for doing that, and for gathering all of that round about you. And I know it is stressful. Anytime you volunteer for something and you take it on, you think, I wonder if this is going to work out, and then it starts to work out, and it's another level of So well done to you for doing that.
Oh, and the volunteers, not just myself and Lorna and Caroline, who are there with me. Lorna and me didn't really see each other this year very much, but we spoke on the phone probably for about 5 hours a day. So yeah, can't forget them, because without them and helping manage the money and make every decision again, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. And big plans clearly ahead for the year. We'll continue to help and support and shine that spotlight on. And we know, Lauren, we will see you again on the show. We know that's going to happen. There is that condition of having Sean Batty along with you.
Oh God, hope he takes it back now.
That you're not allowed on the show until Sean says aye. But we'll make sure
that harassing someone through text message.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and no, I think it's great to have you on, and again, all the so many wonderful comments coming in for yourself and for your team. Not all heroes wear capes.
Angela is she's my sister. I can't even talk. She's like my sister. She's my children's godmother, and she is our bubble person. So also the toy bank couldn't really happen without Angela, because when my kids aren't at the toy bank, it's probably because they're with Angela. So thanks to Angela too.
Yeah, and I guess on this question where donations can be done, that's all the information will be on your Facebook page.
Yeah, at the moment we've only got one drop-off point open, and that is the Key Store in Crossford. And that's just because Chris offered that up, and there's been people, messages trickling in saying, oh, I've got extra things from Christmas, and Chris offered that to us, and obviously he's allowed to stay open because he is essential. So we said yes to taking that up, but like I said previously, at the moment we're not doing an appeal as and depending on how things go with restrictions at Easter, at the moment our thought is that it will just be a appeal for money to be able to buy the Easter eggs, and again that just takes out some more contact, but we'll just need to wait and see where it takes us.
Yeah, Laura, on a practical point, Janie has messaged in, is this something that you would encourage? Is this something that is practical, or is it something that just can't happen for COVID and other reasons?
No, well, the restrictions say that you are allowed out for charity work, and that's obviously what the toy bank is. We've got a lot of volunteers that are amazing, but what we've decided at the moment for making up the birthday boxes is that's something that I'm able to do by myself with help from my husband. So Craig and me are quite happy to go down to the unit, make them up, box them up and quarantine them. But what that also means is I'm quite happy to go and get donations from people, but it's all contactless, and when it's all done through the messenger on Facebook. So what we're saying, is we'll arrange a time and a place and that sort of stuff, and they leave it, walk away, and I pick it up, and we have to disinfect everything. We have to wear masks, all that's in place anyway. But like I said, we've only got the one drop-off point, but if anyone would like to donate in that way, just drop us a message and we'll sort it out. And if anyone's, shielding or anything, and you can hold on to the items, we would obviously suggest this. But if it's something, you're desperate to get out your house and you know that someone would really benefit from it, then by all means get in touch.
Yeah. So another question there from.
Yeah. So we have a, if you go onto our Facebook page, we've got a PayPal link, which just is tied up to the bank. So it goes into PayPal, then it goes into the bank. And we've also got our bank account details as well. And again, they're open all year long. And now that I've obviously announced the expansion, that will be used mainly for birthdays at the moment.
Yeah. And just to confirm, Renfrewshire Toy Bank, you're a non-profit organisation.
Yes, we run as a constituted group. So we've got a constitution. We're known with the Scottish Council for Voluntary Organisations. Had to make sure I got that right. So we've got an SCVO number. We're known to engage Renfrewshire. We're known to the council. Completely legitimate organisation.
And
again, none of us make any money. We don't claim any expenses or anything like that. Volunteers have been offered petrol money even, and they've said no. I would rather it just went back into the toy bank because they all care about the cause. They're all really passionate. So, yeah.
I'm going to ask, as the year passes, Lauren, and we get into the year, and is there would there be a need for more help and more volunteers? Is that something you foresee?
Potentially, this year, the number of people that offered to volunteer this year was at an all-time high. We've never had that many people reach out to us. But like I said, in the unit previously, we could maybe have 8 people working and it would really speed up the process and it's a good laugh and everything like that. But this year, that was minimised to really 2 people. Sometimes we had 3. So it really just depends on how regulations go because we are in quite a small space.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Lauren, been wonderful, inspiring to have you on the show again. You really are. I think it was Elizabeth that made the note there. You've made a huge difference to a lot of families, making them really happy. It's so important that work continues. I guess on behalf of everyone in Paisley Community Trust in Renfrewshire, I'm sure that you've been thanked already, but for your service over Christmas.
No, it's not me, it's everyone.
Yeah, it is, and everybody plays a part, and you're the focus for this. So, thank you so much for your hard work and effort. We look forward to seeing you at some point later on in the year, Lauren. But do let us know if we can help out in any way.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Lauren. Thanks for coming on the show.
Nice to be on.
Bye now. Bye. Gary, that was just amazing. Lauren's fantastic in all the work that she does. But I think it was
to some of our future guests.
Well, indeed, it was. If we can get Sean Batty on with Lauren, then that's going to be fantastic. But it was Jane had mentioned the point about unneeded Christmas gifts. Did I tell you about I don't know if I've told you already about one of the Christmas gifts that I got that I love.
No. What's that?
I keep it under my desk. Did I not show you this?
Oh, I think I've seen it. I'm not sure if the public has seen it or are ready for it.
I don't know, but this was a gift that my daughter got me, and I absolutely love it, Gary. It's the big slipper. It's the big slipper. It's fantastic. It comes not only, they've updated them these days, so it comes with heat settings.
I thought that was a remote control.
It comes with a remote control, and it comes with a massage setting. So I can actually massage my feet as they're under the desk. Check that out. The big slipper, Gary.
I'd go as far to say I love it. I'd absolutely love it.
It's fantastic. Breaking news as well, Gary. Right, we know that we've got folk that follow us and watch from Chicago,
yes,
New York, Toronto.
Yes.
But also, Gary, we are now broadcasting live in Australia.
How many continents is that we've got missing now, Andy?
Oh, well, we're the biggest Paisley chat show on the planet right now, and apparently the kangaroos love us.
Yo, brilliant. Just South America and Asia is missing, Andy.
You'll notice the theme here. It's all my relations, Gary.
Oh well.
Oh, fantastic.
Have you been phoning them up? So you need to come on and watch my show.
Absolutely.
I need to get the continent count up.
Well, and we've got Aileen call it North Carolina, so we've got the good old US of A tuning in as well.
Well, we did mention Trump earlier, so maybe that's got our numbers up a bit.
Absolutely, and it's just fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. We've got so many international viewers, and some are expats. We've talked about an expats special.
Yeah, that would be good, Andy. And even if there's some viewers tonight that could suggest, well, my cousin lives in wherever, the Antarctica, and my auntie lives in the Arctic. That gets us some expats and ticks off other continents.
Because we know some folks that have moved out to Canada, moved out to California, moved over to Dubai, moved over to North Carolina. So expats special. If you've moved away from home, and if maybe the Paisley chat show and some of the wonderful Paisley Facebook pages are your wee fix of home, we'd love to hear from you, and maybe we might be able to bring you onto the show live.
Andy, what's the time difference on the show this evening? If we actually get anyone tuning in from tomorrow?
Yeah, already we're ahead of the game, because if Mark's tuning in from Australia, he'll be 12 hours ahead.
Okay.
So
that's a good morning, Mark.
That's a good morning. Gold Coast, is Roddy Boy Gold Coast Oz, but it's only 7 a.m. apparently.
There you go.
Is Roddy over in? I didn't realise Roddy was over in Australia. And goodness knows what time zone Johnston's on.
If you knocked that in the head, Andy, you're spot on there.
Is that even in 2021 yet, Gary?
Is that a place you're allowed to go to these days?
Johnston? Oh no, you can't go there. It's never coming out of COVID lockdown.
Is that in the 5 mile curfew zone?
4:10 in North Carolina.
That's a Shaggy song. Yep.
Oh, Carolina.
Carolina.
Ooh. So listen, Gary, we got to that stage of the night where we have to have a wee look back and go, another fantastic batch of guests on this evening, Gary.
Yeah, and they go really quickly. But as we say every week, Andy, this show would be nothing without our guests. Yeah. And Lauren is an inspiration for what she does in her team in leading the charge for gifts for people that are in need of them and get referred.
Yeah.
And Catherine coming on and hanging about closes and stuff like that and taking pictures. She's doing a fantastic job to preserve our heritage. So 2 fantastic guests, Andy. It's just really, really good.
It's brilliant. And a wee reminder, folks, when you see, people from like Lauren coming on from Renfrewshire Toy Bank, this is what the Provost Awards is all about. It's about recognising some of these individuals and organisations that do great stuff. And we'll just flash up some of these categories again. We might appear at the side here, Gary, but Arts and Culture, Carers Awards, Community Group, Community Volunteer, Employee of the Year. Oh, Gary, you've disappeared. Ingenuity in Business and Sporting Achievement. Yeah,
Lauren's a worthy winner of a couple of the categories. But I think this year, Andy, the amount of community groups and individuals that have came forward during this COVID, the nominations must be flying in, because there's so many worthy people out there. And I know that they all do it because they think it's the right thing to do, and it's all selfless. I do know that.
Brilliant. So, folks, as a wee quick reminder, if you have got a community group, community organisation or individual that you want to nominate, Provost Awards at renfrewshire.gov.uk. Drop the Provost a wee email, say hello, and nominate who you think should be picking up a Provost Award. We wholeheartedly support it. So many great guests on the programme. I'm sure you'll be stuck to pick just one, but put in a few.
I was going to say on that, Andy, the closing date for nominations is Friday the 29th of January. And this year is slipping away from us already. So it's not far away, a couple of weeks away. So get looking at who you think's done great stuff in the community this year. Look at the categories and email the Provost and say, they're a belter. We think they should win.
Absolutely. So, Gary, you're talking about this month kind of, drifting away into the distance already. Where are we? The 13th of January. Yeah. Next week, I'm sure we're going to have a bumper set of guests on next week, Gary? What's lined up?
We've got 3 guests next week. It's a health and well-being of sorts next week. So
Right.
we want to shine a light on health, how you can access help with health, and a couple of sporting organisations coming on next week. Not got it nailed down 100%, Andy, but it's a health and well-being next week, and it probably deserves on the poster the moniker of special.
Oh, a special. We're going to have a health and well-being special, because the start of a new year, Gary, is usually when you say, right, I'm going to get back to doing a sport, or I'm going to take up a new sport, I'm going to get myself into shape, I'm going to do some yoga to clear the mind or whatever. So you might get some thoughts or inspiration, folks, and some of the things that you might want to partake in. Obviously, COVID's a bit of a challenge for all of that, but no, I'm looking forward to next week, Gary.
And the week after.
Oh, you're already planning next week, or the week after next week, Gary?
Well, the thing about the start of the year, Andy, is there are certain milestones in the year that you can't miss.
Right.
And the 25th of January is Burns Day, Burns Night. So we're on the 27th of January. We're having a Burns Night.
Oh, fantastic! We'll have to have some haggis and some whiskey. We have been known to drink on the show, folks.
Yeah, we have. Slabber.
Are you a whiskey drinker, Gary? Do you like whiskey?
Well, no.
But we'll take one for the team on the show, and we'll have a wee nip of whiskey.
And I'm making up as we go along here now, Andy, but we could get lucky and have a cook along.
Oh, a cook along Burns special.
A cook along Burns special with the put it in the oven and get the dagger in the haggis and explodes the early. That moment.
We've got to have an address to the haggis, haven't we?
Yes, so that type of thing. So maybe we'll not worked it out yet, or asked anyone in particular if they would do a cook along. But we've had a cook along before, Andy, and it was pretty successful.
It was great. Yeah, it was Helena. I thought the cat was getting it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's a cracker.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, I think we're pretty much done. We've got 2 weeks lined up in advance. And folks, as always, it's been brilliant to see you coming on, keeping our chat absolutely full of comments. And make sure you jump on to Paisley Trust on Facebook and Twitter. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. And hopefully we can build the numbers up on that as well, Gary.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just to highlight what other people are doing. If our numbers go up, then other people benefit. So that's what it's for. And
if you're an expat in one of the 4 corners of the globe and you'd like to come on one of our future shows, make sure you jump on to Paisley Trust Facebook page, drop us a wee message, we'll follow up and we'll get our expat special together. Yeah, so a few things in the planning, Andy, but next week's almost nailed. Burnt supper, we'll need to work on it. And we spoke the other week, Andy, about having another pub night. Oh yes, a not going out night. Aye, another pub night. We had a pub night the middle of the summer, I think it was last year, and we had the karaoke, pub quiz. We need to have another one of them. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. We're just looking for excuses to have a wee drink, Gary, is that not? That's a couple of things we've mentioned. The drink, we need to get the Prosecco out. And if anyone's got any other suggestions for shows about what we could feature, who we could feature, any specialist subjects, talking about specialists, we could have a mastermind night, Andy. Or has that just been silly? An actual pub quiz night. Well, we can make that as part, or who's the brainiest brain in Paisley? Oh, aye. Yeah. Lots of ideas. Ideas are flowing now. Listen, folks, we're going to have to go. It's been a great evening already. I think the main thing is, given the fact that the numbers are not looking good, really encourage you. Please be safe, everyone. Look out for yourselves. Look out for your loved ones. And hopefully we'll see you all safe and well next week. Yeah, look forward to that. And thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. And once again, thanks to our brilliant guests. But thanks again, and we'll see you next week.